Hey guys, I'm Michelle. This is my Wheels, your Betty. You're watching Rebelwheels NYC, and yes, today we're going to talk about climate change. It's a real hot topic. I mean, if you look at the elections, Bernie Sanders is talking about it, Hillary Clinton is talking about it, Ted Cruz is... But most people are talking about it. There's also been a lot of talk about amongst people about how it's really super important that we divest from fossil fuels. Yes, we move towards like solar-powered energy and other forms of green energy. Also digging it, and that we should definitely ban fracking. There is another way for us to prevent climate change, and it's something that's kind of discussed more in the mainstream media, but it's still kind of if we go vegan. Now, before you shut down this video, you're like, you're just promoting your hooty-tooty wild American animal rights agenda. Meanwhile, there's so many other important issues that you're not even paying attention to or talking about. And it is true, part of the reason why I am vegan, and why I'm talking about being vegan, is to save the animals, but I'm also trying to save the earth, about workers' rights, about preventing hunger, about saving the Amazon rainforest, and preventing climate change, and so much more, man, so much more. It is all connected. Stay with me and I'm gonna break it down. Climate change. According to multiple scientific studies, including one done by the UN, the animal agriculture industry, which is one of the largest contributors to climate change, which means that if we move towards a vegan diet, we can actually prevent climate change just by eating. And we're gonna do that anyway, so, you know, I'm just saying. So if you're like, well, I don't give a rat's rear about climate change, Michelle, water, then perhaps you give a crap about what's going on in Flint, Michigan, and how there's a lack of clean water. And it's not just Flint, Michigan, it's happening in Newark. There's the Navajo Black Mesa water supply, and all over, not just the country, but also the world, clean water is an issue. I'm gonna read the stat here. So the water used in fracking ranges from 70 to 140 billion gallons annually, which is a lot of water, which is one of the many reasons why fracking is just so wrong. But, and it's a big but, the animal agriculture industry, their water consumption ranges from 34 to 76 trillion gallons annually. Alright, so you're saying, well, whatever, Michelle, I have clean water, so that's not really of my concern. The Amazon rainforest. Then perhaps you give a crap about the rainforest, because, you know, rainforests are awesome. Let's go to the stat that the animal agriculture industry is responsible for 91% of the Amazon's destruction. Meanwhile, you got plenty of trees being knocked down, which is not good for the environment. But also, the Amazon rainforest is home to a number of indigenous tribes. And haven't they already been through enough shit? But perhaps you're saying, Michelle, I couldn't give a rat's rear, which, well, that's not very nice. Money! Cha-ching! Maybe you'll care about the fact that it's hitting you in the wallet. Let's go to the stat. The American government spends $38 billion each year to subsidize the meat and dairy industry. And guess where that money is coming from? It's not from the taxpayer. Workers' rights. The meat and dairy industry is notorious for being utterly crappy when it comes to workers' rights. It's super common for these factory farms to hire undocumented workers. And because a lot of these workers are undocumented, many of them even underage children, you know, there's no union to protect them. They don't have insurance, which is a problem because when you're working in an industry where there's a really high risk of work-related injury. Hunger. Maybe the issue that you were most concerned with is the issue of hunger, right? There are plenty of people in US alone who are going hungry on a daily basis, including children, and there are certainly many third world countries where children are starving. It's all connected, wah wah wah, it's all connected, wah wah wah. We are currently growing enough food to feed 10 billion people. And just to round it off, the world population is currently at 7.5 billion. Here's the problem, is that Worldwide, at least 50% of the grain that we grow is fed to feed the livestock, not the people. 82% of starving children live in countries where the grain is fed to the animals, and then the animals are eaten by Western countries, which is just messed up. But I'm not going to keep going on about how it affects different issues. But I do want to point out it is all connected to so many issues. So now what? Because maybe you're watching this, you're like, okay, yeah, that totally makes sense, but holy crap, the idea of going vegan is really overwhelming. I am busy, I work. Vegankit.com, it will break it down for you. It is free. So I would also recommend watching a documentary called Cowspiracy. Cowspiracy.com. It's also available on Netflix. They also have a 30-day vegan challenge, which is also free. And that way you can kind of get videos and tips, and that might be kind of a good way to do it as well. If you're interested, there's also a much shorter video from Dr. Melanie Joy. If you go to carnism.org, she has a great TED Talk, which is actually shorter than a documentary. So if you want to watch that instead, that's also a great source of information. But won't going vegan make me tired? There are many professional athletes who are vegan. So obviously if they're able to kick ass in their professional sport and win and, win these medals and whatnot in tournaments, then like you and me will be just fine. If you are into working out and want to build some muscle, how do bodybuilders do the vegan diet? Check out veganbodybuilding.com and they will break it down for you as well. But I once met a vegan who was a real prick. Okay, I hear you're saying, I'm vegan, and I've met some other vegans who are total pricks. Sometimes in your travels, you meet pricks. I think what one has to keep in mind, like for an example, I'm involved in various forms of, and various activist movements, and one of them is the anti-war movement. And sometimes people I met in that movement, sometimes they were sexist, sometimes they were xenophobic, the fatphobic, ableist, so on and so forth. But does that then make genocide and war somehow okay? No, it's still ethically really messed up. And just because I met a person within a movement who was a prick doesn't change that. And the same way, just because you met someone who was vegan and a prick doesn't make veganism a bad idea. This means that that person's a prick. You have to separate the idea from the people. But I don't like vegan food though. So there's a lot of food that are plant-based, aka vegan, and unless you're eating meat and dairy in all snacks and meals at all times, you're probably already eating vegan food. For an example, do you like pasta with tomato sauce? Well, guess what? Pasta was probably made from wheat or maybe rice or corn. Wheat, rice, and corn come from the ground. They're plants. Vegan. Your tomato sauce, it comes from the ground. It's a plant. The spices that go in your tomato sauce are herbs. They come from the ground. They're a plant. Say that you don't like vegan food is to say that you don't like the majority of food. So it's just important to kind of expand your idea of what is vegan food. And in the end, yes, it is also about the animals. I haven't been talking a lot about the animals. I want to focus on other issues and show how it is all connected. And keep in mind, we decided at some point that animals exist for us. I mean, what is that based on? We made that up. We're just making shit up. It's not based on fact. I mean, it's no different than when one religion decides for itself that it's the superior religion. Or if someone decides for themselves that one's race is superior or one's sex is superior, so on and so forth. And the question we have to then ask ourselves is, just because someone decided for themselves that they are superior, does that justify the oppression of others who are, quote, inferior? And so it's really something to keep in mind. There's a lot of things that maybe we are brought up to believe, but it doesn't mean that they're on point. So it's really just a matter of doing the least harm and doing the most good and doing what you can. Anyway, that's it. Vegankit.com. Check it out. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. I know it's a lot to take in. Give it some thought. Swoosh it around your brain and lead with your heart.